I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliosprend, Biblioholders, Bibliomancers, and my new Bibliomancers, Michael and Hunter. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support to my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Patel here. Welcome to SFF Spotlight episode 31. You know the drill by now. This is where I will talk and spotlight new book announcements, new cover reveals, new special editions, and also new noteworthy release in the adult science fiction and fantasy genre. And before I start spotlighting all these news, I just want to say thank you so much because this channel recently, to be specific, 2 weeks ago, reached a new milestone, a total views of 2 millions, and I think that is amazing. I have no idea whether that can be considered fast or not. I know that some YouTube channels have definitely reached that kind of milestone or even more, much faster than me, but I'm still very proud of this milestone. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who keep watching my videos. And as I said in my community tab, although sometimes it can be difficult to maintain this channel, but I do like talking about books. I do like sharing my thoughts about books, giving recommendations, and most importantly, hearing that my book recommendations lead you to some of your favorite books of all time will always be the main goal of my book recommendation and my channel. So as long that there is a demand for my book recommendation and also my YouTube channel, well, I will always keep the channel running. So yeah, thank you so much, and let's get started. In today's video, in today's SFF Spotlight, we have, as always, more than 20 topics to talk about. Let's start from new book announcement first. I have two to spotlight today. First one is for Blood of the Old Kings by Sung Il Kim, translated by Anton. This book is slated to be released in the year 2024, and this really sounds like it's something awesome. The editor, Lindsay Hall, said, "A dragon with 7 eyes, an empire running on magic generated from the corpses of sorcerers, and an investigation into the murder of a dear friend that uncovers a deadly plot with far-reaching consequences. And this is only the beginning of Sung Il Kim's incredible fantasy trilogy." And the author himself, Sung Il Kim, said, "Blood of the Old Kings owe much to my cultural memory of colonization. What do you do when you are under an oppression that is so powerful and ubiquitous that it feels like an inevitability? History has many people who rose against such forces, heedless of the insurmountable odds. Those are the heroes that I sought to recreate, except with an epic fantasy fighting chance, as well as mummified sorcerers and gigantic war machines." I will definitely keep an eye out on this one. This will be published by Tor Books, and yeah, I think it sounds amazing. And the second book announcement is for the newest book by Vaishnavi Patel, the author behind Kaikeyi. So this book is titled Goddess of the River. And this will be a Mahabharata retelling from the perspective of Ganga and her son Bhishma, a story of dharma and responsibility, of family and finding hope in tragedy. And the author gave some teasers. Goddess of the River uses both first and third person point of views. It follows nearly the full plot of the Mahabharata. And Krishna, my heart, is a significant character. It is distinct in themes and story from Kaikeyi, but shares that same love of Hindu mythologies. I'm a fan of Mahabharata retellings, and I will definitely read this one. Hopefully, I will get around to reading Kaikeyi too before I get around to reading, well, Goddess of the River. But I know Kaikeyi has quite a lot of fans, and I think many of you who are a fan of Kaikeyi will be intrigued to find out about this news. So that's for the topic of book announcements, and the next one is about the results of Locus Award. Yes, the results and the winners have been announced, and the winner for the Best Fantasy Novel of the Year goes to Babel by R.F. Kuang. And yes, I have read that one. I think it is R.F. Kuang's best novel so far in her career, and I look forward to reading her newest fantasy novel, I think next year. And for the sci-fi novel, it will be for Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. I think it is quite insane that I still haven't read anything by John Scalzi yet. Hopefully, I will be able to fix that soon, but congratulations to R.F. Kuang, John Scalzi, and all the other winners that won the Locus Award, and also for the nominee. And moving on to the next topic, and this is for Mistborn Origins by Brandon Sanderson. And no, that is not a TV show or a movie adaptation for Mistborn. Although the first time I saw that name, I really thought it was a teaser or a trailer for the Mistborn TV show adaptation, but it's not. Mistborn Origins, just like the title, is pretty much a YouTube video that you can watch on Brandon Sanderson's channel about how Brandon came up with the idea for Mistborn. And well, I think that was a great video. I mean, Mistborn is probably the most important fantasy trilogies in my life because it sparked my love for reading fantasy novels. So I had a great time watching that videos. And if you are someone who, just like me, found your love for reading fantasy novels through Mistborn, I highly encourage you to watch that video. But speaking of trailers and TV show adaptation, the next 5 news will be all about TV show and movie adaptation. And the first one is regarding the new trailer for Dune Part 2. And yes, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and honestly, after watching that trailer, my excitement just rose up even further. I think the trailer looks amazing and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch Dune Part 2. As I constantly said, love Dune Part 1 very much, and I have a good feeling I will love Dune Part 2 even more. If you haven't watched the trailer yet, I highly encourage you to do that also. And speaking of sci-fi trailers, sci-fi movie trailer, well, the next one is for the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy by Cixin Liu, or the Three-Body Problem, a TV show adaptation. And I love Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. I consider Dark Forest, the second book in that trilogy, probably, well, it is one of the greatest sci-fi novels I have ever read. It is absolutely amazing and, well, it's ambitious in scope and I love everything about it. It's incredible. And this adaptation, I think it will be different from the Chinese TV show adaptation. And I'm I'm excited but also terrified about how this will go. Now, here's the thing. I love Game of Thrones. And yes, this TV show adaptation for the Three-Body Problems will be adapted by D&D, the one who did a Game of Thrones TV show adaptation. And I love the Game of Thrones from season 1 until season 6. I had mixed feelings on season 7 and of course on season 8, as many of us have encountered that experience. So I'm kind of terrified about this, but also excited. Hopefully this will be a great TV show adaptation for the Three-Body Problem trilogy. I consider the first book, the Three-Body Problem, the weakest of the trilogy, but the second and the third book, Dark Forest and also Death's End, are both amazing. The TV show will premiere in January 2024, so if you haven't read the trilogy yet, well, you still have some time to catch up. And moving on to the next piece of news, speaking of TV show adaptation that I'm worried, well, this is for One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. So the trailer for the live action, or the teaser, is out now, and I think right now there are 2 sides to this, either absolutely love or absolutely hate. And personally speaking, from my experience, because I've been burned out way too many times by anime to TV show adaptation or manga to TV show adaptation, live action TV show adaptation, well, I will just say that I'm worried about this. I do not think it will go well, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. But in the first place, One Piece is that kind of manga and anime that is close to being impossible to do a proper live action adaptation. So I think if we put that into account, if we put that into consideration, what we saw in the trailer is, well, I think it's what they can do with what they have. Yeah, that's really all of my thoughts on it so far. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm happy to be proven that, just like Samurai X or Rurouni Kenshin, it is a great live action adaptation. And moving on to something more positive, well, Demon Slayer Season 4 has been confirmed. I mean, there's no doubt that this will happen. Season 3 was awesome again, and I hope Season 4 will be even better. And yeah, I know that there are some of you who are a fan of Demon Slayer anime as well, and yeah, I think this is great news. We are getting closer, relatively closer to the end of the series. I have read the manga, so there is no spoiling for me on the end here because I know the end of this story already. But I'm pretty excited to see all of them being adapted into the animation because I think the anime is actually better than the manga. I am not too much of a fan of the artworks on the manga, but the anime has been pretty awesome, really. And lastly, one more news, and then I will talk about new special editions and new Kickstarter projects. So for the next one, it's about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. And apparently it has been confirmed that Season 2 will consist of 23 episodes. I'm very excited about this one. Season 2 will be amazing, and right now, the manga is absolutely insane. It is insane. If you are reading the manga up to the latest chapters, I think you will know what I'm talking about. It is crazy what's going on right now. And now we move on to the next section of today's SFF Spotlight. It is time to talk about new special editions. So let's start from the Kickstarter projects first. I know some of you are probably waiting for this. And the first Kickstarter project to spotlight today will be for Neon Ghost by Daniel Green. The Kickstarter project for Neon Ghost has gone live now, and it is a massive success. The cover art is done by Zara Alfonso, the design is done by Sean King. There will be beautiful and paper art as well. And really, the entire design for the book just looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. I think Wraithmarked Creative did a great job in designing and also publishing this book. I look forward to receiving my own copy of this cyberpunk novel by Daniel Green. For those of you who don't know, Daniel Green is right now taking a break from social media and also from YouTube. And well, I think it is the least I can do to spotlight this book because, well, as I mentioned plenty of times already, SFF Spotlight was initially inspired by Daniel Green's fantasy news. I own the advanced reading copy of Neon Ghost A Witch Sin for quite a while now, and I'm ashamed to say that I still haven't get around to reading the book. Hopefully, when I receive the physical copy of it, I will start reading it immediately. And then the next Kickstarter project that has gone live will be for the Frith Chronicles by Shami Stovall. Again, I have talked about this special edition, I have talked about this Kickstarter project on my previous SFF Spotlight, but the Kickstarter campaign for this one has gone live. And yes, this series, although I haven't read this one, this series has been pitched as Harry Potter meet Pokemon, and I think that is an amazing pitch. This Kickstarter campaign though, it's looking pretty good. I mean, many artists are actually involved in illustrating the bestiary, and so far, based on all the interior artworks I've seen on the Kickstarter campaign page, with the cover art done by the cover artist who did the omnibus edition for Threadlight Trilogy by Zach Argyle, I think this hardcover edition, the final product of it, will look really stunning. So yeah, if you're curious to find out about this, make sure to check out the Kickstarter page for the Frith Chronicles by Shami Stovall. And the next Kickstarter campaign to spotlight is pretty much just a reminder that it's almost the end of the Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer Kickstarter campaign. And there are still 2 stretch goals to meet, and these 2 stretch goals are pretty much what M.L. Spencer really want to achieve, and it is about the hidden 4H painting. So yeah, we're getting closer to the end of the Kickstarter campaign and also the stretch goals. So if you are someone who haven't read, or maybe you have read Dragon Mage and loved it and you want a special edition of it, check out the Kickstarter campaign page. And finally, the last Kickstarter campaign to spotlight today will be for the Dark Prophet Saga by Zachary Pike. And yes, there is also the cover reveal for Dragonfire, the 3rd and final book in the Dark Prophet Saga series. I haven't read the first book yet, or Economics, but many people have mentioned that it is suitable to those who love Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames, and I am a huge fan of Kings of the Wild and its sequel by Nicholas Eames. So hopefully when I get around to reading this one, I will end up loving it. And the Kickstarter campaign for this one hasn't gone live yet, but you can check out the page already. I think the Kickstarter campaign for this will go live, I think, in the month of July. So yeah, soon. So that's for the topic of Kickstarter campaigns. There are still 2 more special editions to talk about today, and these 2 are of course from the Broken Binding. The first one is just an announcement that 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan will be getting the Broken Binding press treatment, meaning that the Broken Binding has decided to go all out on producing and publishing their own special edition for the 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan, the first book in the Mistland series, which is one of my favorite books of the year so far. I am very pleased with this news, and hopefully Kian Ardalan and 11th Cycle will be getting the proper, beautiful and stunning treatment it deserves. And lastly, on the topic of special editions, Illumi Crate and also the Broken Binding, both of them have announced their own special editions for the Radiant Emperor duology, or the second book, He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I've read the first book, She Who Became the Sun, and loved it very much. Hopefully the second book, He Who Drowned the World, will be a fitting and satisfying conclusion to the Radiant Emperor duology. And before I forget, speaking about special edition, I just found out that Circe by Madeline Miller is getting the 5th anniversary edition treatment, just like the Song of Achilles. I think for the Song of Achilles, it was the 10th anniversary edition, but this one will have a similar design with the Song of Achilles Deluxe Edition, which I own. And so I definitely will get myself a copy of this one. I think this one looks beautiful as well. And moving on to the next section of SFF Spotlight, it is time to talk about new cover reveals announced. And the first one, I will be talking about Empire of the Damned by J. Kristoff. This is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire trilogy. Yes, The cover art, both the US and the UK cover art, both of them have been announced, and just like always, the US cover art is being illustrated by Jason Chan, and the UK cover art is illustrated by Kirby Rosanes. I love both cover art. I mean, when it comes to J. Kristoff's books, whether it's the Nevernight trilogy or the Empire of the Vampire, I think both of them have beautiful US and UK cover art, and this is owed thanks to Jason Chan and also Kirby Rosanes. But if I have to choose, I will always choose Kirby Rosanes artwork. The UK cover art, Kirby Rosanes, I think is an amazing artist, and I'm still so surprised why to this day so few, relatively few publishers uses Kirby Rosanes as their cover artist. I think it is a missed opportunity. He should be hired to do more cover art, and I think J. Kristoff and also Harper Voyager did a great job in again choosing Kirby Rosanes and Jason Chan as their cover artists. The book itself, Empire of the Damned, is slated to be released on March 2024, and I'm quite excited to read this as soon as I can. And the next cover reveal will be for The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the sequel series to the darker Shade of Magic series. As some of you probably know already, I am not a fan of that trilogy, but this UK cover art looks beautiful, and it still matches the original cover art to the Shade of Magic trilogy. So yeah, although I probably won't be reading this series, well, I will just say that this is a beautiful cover art. And then moving on to the next one, the next cover reveal will be an entire trilogy for the Corax trilogy by K.J. Parker. I haven't read anything by K.J. Parker yet, but I think this cover art looks really nice. So if you're a fan of K.J. Parker, do know that, well, he has a new trilogy announced, and it will be published by Orbit Books, and these are the cover art. And the last cover reveal for a traditionally published book will be for How to Become a Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. I think the book actually sounds really good, and I have read the Shadow Campaign series by Django Wexler. Love that series. I think it is an underrated military fantasy series. And I've read Ashes of the Sun, a Star Wars inspired fantasy novel and also series by Django Wexler. I haven't read the second book and the third book yet, but suffice to say that when it comes to Django Wexler's books, I usually have a great time reading his books. So I think the same sentiment and reading experience can be applied to this new and upcoming novel that will be published in the year 2024, and it will be the first book in a duology published by Orbit Books. And moving on to the next cover reveal, it is time to talk about sub-published fantasy books cover reveal. And the first one will be for the new cover art for Bob the Wizard by M.V. Prindle. If some of you don't know about the entire drama and situation regarding the AI art previously used for Bob the Wizard, well, I think talking about all the drama will be too long for the SFF Spotlight here. But this is a new cover art done by Katrina Paints, which, personally speaking, I think looks even better than the AI art previously used for Bob the Wizard. So yeah, well, maybe this is kind of like a blessing in disguise, I guess. And that's not all. The next author, Michael R. Fletcher and also Clayton Snyder, also faced the same situation with the same drama, because both M.V. Prindle and Michael Fletcher, well, they decided to hire the same cover artist previously to do their cover art for their books. But both of them didn't know, even after making sure that they do not want an AI cover art, they did not know that, well, what they got is an AI cover art. So this will features a new cover art. I'm talking about A War to End All, the third and final book in the Manifest Delusion novels by Michael R. Fletcher. And again, this is definitely a case of blessing in disguise, because I have seen the previous AI cover art for A War to End All, and it looks badass, but it is nothing compared to this new one by Andrew Malinsky. So this is the final cover to A War to End All by Michael R. Fletcher and Clayton Snyder, and the cover artist and the interior artist are both by Andrew Malinsky. I'm very excited about this book. Cannot wait to read it. And yes, you heard it correctly, there will be interior artworks inside this one. In fact, Michael R. Fletcher has revealed one of the interior artworks inside this book. This is Witchstick, one of the main characters in Manifest Delusion series. And finally, the last cover reveal in today's SFF Spotlight video will be for Metanoia by Alex Robbins. This one features a cover art done by Felix Ortiz. Really love this cover art. I think it looks very distinctive and different from a lot of cover arts that I've seen, and it's always refreshing for me to see and witness Felix Ortiz trying out different style, and most of the time it actually worked and turned out really well, like what he did for the War Eternal series, for the hardback for War Eternal series by Rob J. Hayes. So yeah, I think this is a beautiful cover art. I haven't read anything by Alex Robbins yet, but recently I got War of the 12 Omnibus by him. No idea when I will get around to reading that one, but I'm excited to dive into one of his books eventually. And this is another proof why I think Felix Ortiz is awesome. Here's another cover reveal, and this time it is for a debut novel by David T. Liss. This is for Violence and Vigilance, the first book in the Turesia Untamed series. I don't know too much about this book yet. I haven't looked much further into it, but with this kind of cover art, I definitely will do some research on this. And finally, the last section of SFF Spotlight. As always, I will be talking about new noteworthy release. And I have two titles to spotlight today. The first one is for Gods of the Wyrdwood by R.J. Parker, the first book in his newest series titled The Forsaken Trilogy. I haven't read Gods of the Wyrdwood yet, but I have read everything by R.J. Parker, his fantasy books anyway. The Wounded Kingdom trilogy and also the Tide Child trilogy, and I highly enjoyed both of them. I expect I will end up enjoying the Forsaken trilogy as well. And yeah, the first book in the trilogy is out now. And finally, the last noteworthy release and also the last topic of today's video will be for The Prophet of Eden by Philip Chase. The second book in the Eden trilogy by Philip Chase is out now. I recently just got the physical copy of it, and I just want to say thank you so much to Philip for sending me a physical copy of The Prophet of Eden, and I look forward to reading this as soon as I can. As originally planned, the third and final book of the Eden trilogy will be published in September. So if you haven't started reading The Way of Eden yet and you are waiting for the series to be completed, you won't be waiting for long, because the entire trilogy will be completed by September 2023. So that's it. That's the end of today's SFF Spotlight video. I just want to say thank you so much once again to all of you who keep watching my videos, and like always, do let me know what you think about all the news that I spotlighted today. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.